Sometimes you've come, amefunga nyumba afungui, so you have to sleep in the car.
Do that. I hope
Let's just do it a joke.
Just close the door. Why?
Why am I being disturbed at this particular time? We had agreed that this should happen at this time.
Why weren't you carrying your own key? Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Murugi Ndwiga, and today we are talking all things marriage. We are joined by a couple that has been married for 17 years, and I am excited to hear what their journey in marriage has been like. I will let them introduce themselves. Karibuni sana.
No, thanks, Murugi. I'm Rosemary Kimwatu, been married for 17 years, father of 4.
I'm Rosemary Kimwatu, the same thing. Mother of 4, married for 17 years, and we're glad to be here, Murugi.
Karibuni sana. You guys have been married for 17 years. First tell us, how did you guys meet?
It was at a party I wasn't invited to. Yeah, Kevin, you can take over.
So
Who invited you to the party?
So my sister was going for a party and I decided, you know what, there's nothing I'm doing this afternoon. Can I join you? Of course, she said, no, you can't join me. I told her, please let me come. She said, okay, fine. And immediately she got to the party. She made sure that she got me company so that I wouldn't get in the way of her day. And that's how I met Kevin.
Yeah, so I think the sister is the one who brought Rosemary and said, you guys look like you can get along. So we started the conversation, and from there we picked it up. I think from there.
How old were you guys at that time?
I was 27. I was 27, and you were 21, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, she was 21. So you know the dates.
She was actually 26.
I was 26, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You say, keep, as a man, I'm showing you, I know dates now.
You're not doing too badly.
Yeah.
How many years have you been married?
17 now.
I
That's
was just
17.
checking if you still remember.
Yes,
Alright.
yes.
Alright.
Yeah.
And looking back, because I know you already did your vows as well. And in the vows we talk about for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer. If you remember your vows, in sickness and in health, what have been the highs and lows, the good, the bad, in this marriage, in this context of the vows when you think about it?
So let me just pick it up from first. We did not go to church first. We did a come and stay because we got our son first. Then
It's called traditional marriage.
traditional. We paid the dowry, so we said a traditional way. So we moved in. But one thing about marriage that we've learned, I think it's funny about weddings where people come and sing for you. Then you move in together. So you're two different people, different personalities, different cultures, different upbringings who have been put together. So that's recipe for chaos first. So it starts with different fights.
What were the chaos, what were the fights at the beginning?
See, nobody warns you about how you're set in your ways, how you are as a person, and how somebody else is very different. And that's where differences come in. It can be something as small as even toothpaste. Do you squeeze from the middle? Do you squeeze from the bottom? You don't notice, but you see, it's a lot of things about two very different people that can sometimes become a lot. But I think the first lesson there becomes a compromise. You quickly learn, is it an issue? Is it a non-issue? You choose exactly how that plays out, and that really helps, even how you shape your home and who you become in terms of the two of you. And of course, the most important thing is learning to set your own standards as a couple. Like, you learn to live your life. You're not doing what your parents told you, what your friends told you. You're doing what works for the two of you. Yeah.
Then also, picture this. When you're dating, there's so many things that are hidden from each other. Maybe this guy likes partying, and you're living separate homes. So when you move in together is when you notice different vices about different people. And that's where people don't know. You know, when you're dating, you say you are the best. Yeah, when she meets you, you're dressed, you're shaved. But then when you're moved in now, there's nothing you can hide.
The real you comes
The real you comes out. So that's where the problem comes about, yes. Yeah.
Chebu, what really, issues came out of him, and maybe you can also say vice versa. What did you realize that was not quote unquote working? You hadn't realized.
No, I think I'm married to a very social being. Very, very social being. I'm also very social, but I think that's the one thing I wasn't prepared for. Of course, when we were dating, you'd walk in town, he'd say hi to 50 million people. I thought, well, that's okay. But when we got married, I realized, oh my, he's social. And that's part of who he is. But you grow into it, you learn to accept, you also discover yourself when you're at it. I think for me, that was it. That was the main, that was a key thing. Yeah. And not being social is not a bad thing, but being social comes with its things. You go out, you party, you have your friends.
Come back at 4.
Come back at 4. I think for me that was a culture shock. In the home I grew up in, my dad always 9 latest. We have supper, whatnot. And I like, yeah, I've met this guy. Let's build a family. It's time to be home. Where are you?
Yeah. So now, picture this. How my nature is. I'm very. I don't like following conforming. So here I've gotten married to a strict chick who's telling me, hey, where are you from? I'm thinking, okay, no, I've just left my mother's home. So why am I being asked questions? So sometimes you've come, amefunga nyumba afungui. So you always sleep in the car.
Do that. I hope
Let's just do a joke.
Just close the door. Why?
Why am I being disturbed at this particular time? We had agreed that this should happen at this time.
Why weren't you carrying your own key?
No, she don't know nyumba za Kenya ni zile za flat za ndani.
At that economic situation, the keys, the house you can afford is that what I do. As you, and there's no way of opening from outside, so you have to open it from
inside. And that's one thing also people are not told when you're getting married. Economics is a very important part of marriage. You had this budget, now you have to divide this budget into 2. So that's also another recipe for problems. So we moved in, our finances are not enough. We have a baby here, and the baby needs diapers. You need, I think that time babies take a lot of naan, Cerelac. So it's a face that we always laugh and we say it was a learning experience. Yeah, it was a learning experience.
But you grow up, you learn that it's not just about you. You learn that anyway, you'd have gone out kitambo, it was all yours. Then you realize, okay, fine, tomorrow I need to wake up to this reality that is my family.
And going back to what I still raised earlier, mention the highs that you've had in your marriage and also the lows that you've had. What have been the lows or the lowest and the highs? Or what do you really celebrate when you look at it?
I think for in most marriages, the most highs will come from career progress, birth of children. We say that you started 2 of you, then all of a sudden your family keeps on growing. Blessings come about. But I remember sitting back, writing, and I was asked, what do you see yourself in 10 years? That's the other thing which I always tell people. I'll have 4 kids, my career will be this, I'll have a car, I'll have a house. But when you get married, you notice life is not what you plan. It's how God plans it for you. So you see, you've gotten married first, you try and choose. Some people, you try children, you don't get the children as you wanted at one time. Your career stagnates. So I think that's the laws about life. What you plan is not what you get. It goes according to what God has planned for you. So you have planned, my business will be this big, I'll be driving a new car by this time, but now you're driving 4 years of marriage and you're all driving, then you're galiana in a matatu. So you're wondering, when is mine coming? So those are the lows. But the highs is suddenly the blessings come. Eventually they come. You get your children, your career start progressing. And your dreams, whatever your dreams, they say your vision board comes and start playing 5 years, 10 years later.
Yeah, and then I think what he said is so true. Just learning to accept that it won't happen at the pace in which you want. But again, the lesson there is whatever progress you're making on a day to day. I think for us a big high has been, I think we were so broke. We didn't have too much money, and we said, what's our dream house going to be? With whatever little we had, we paid the architect. And we said, fine, of course. It should have looked like an unwise decision. You don't even know where you'll start. But eventually, when you look back at it a few years later, you're like, it's good we thought about it. And for me, it is during those low moments, don't stop yourself from dreaming. Don't stop the planning. Just because it doesn't look realistic right now, we're firm believers in God. And that by the time He shows you something in your mind, it's a vision He's implanting. At that point, it looked impossible. And guys would be like, oh, you guys are, you're jokers, you're not being very serious. But you learn that, and I think we speak a lot to the lows because that's where the seed is planted. And just, I know it's very kawaida analogy, but a seed is planted in a dark place, it's covered up, it's watered. Not watered, it's those tough times when you're being, then all of a sudden you crack out of your shell. The winds can be, like us, for example, between our first one and the second one, we have a 10-year difference. Not that we wanted it right. Our life was now in order, the brokenness is finished, you can afford a car, you're even planning for it. Yeah, you're comfortable, in a good place. However, now, at that point, when you can even afford now to, have more children, suddenly your body decides it doesn't want. It's not working. And the trauma and the pain that comes in between. Then one day, God just decides, you know what, this is your time. And nowadays, I meet people like, how many kids do you have? Like, we have 4. They're like, hey, you're fertile. I'm like, if only you knew the path that we. So I think for us, that's it. The lows are those moments I've said, like in between, trying for kids and the challenges that comes with that. And we already had one child, we're grateful. But the day God decided, this is your time, it was amazing. And funny thing, without intervention, we had our daughter, and a year later, was pregnant with twins.
Wow.
Yeah. 8 years. Imagine the firstborn and the second born. 8 years difference.
No, it's not okay.
No.
Leave the mathematics.
No,
Yeah.
so
It's about
Two.
9.
You don't know the maths.
It's about 9 and a half,
Nine,
almost
yeah.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
It's interesting you talk about the struggle to conceive when you were comfortable. Tell me, how did you support each other in that season? Because there are couples that are going through that. How would you say you supported each other to just give advice to those people who are going through the same season?
Okay. And let me give you a good scenario. We're going for a function somewhere. So somebody meets madam and asks her, wewe ulikataa kutuzalishia madhe. Now, her, she doesn't know that maybe you've just lost a couple of babies and maybe you've gone through problems. But the easiest way of supporting is just being together. And I think just standing together. And I think we always tell people, go back to keep on, after if we're going through such problems, keep on trying. Keep on trying. It's God, funny enough, we're not the one who can answer and tell God when to bless you. But if you don't give up, it comes true. But if you stick together, I think the one thing about marriage I've learned is sticking together and supporting each other. No matter what you're going through, if you just stick to each other, I think the only thing you guys have, and I think I always tell people one thing is that the kids come, but they go. You're left together. The same way Murugi, I see people going for conferences, going to do masters for their career. Imagine you retire at 55 or 60. Then you have another 30 years together. You've understood?
Yeah.
Careers come and go,
Yeah.
but marriages is forever. Until death do us part. So the same effort you give your other things, give it also to your marriage. Go for conferences about marriages, go for, make it better, because you're doing it for your career and you're retiring in your career, but this one you can't retire, you're not going to retire from marriage.
True.
Yeah.
How much effort are you putting in that? However, there's also something critical that you've asked, and I felt it's very important to answer. Like, what lessons do you learn in the hard times? It's the fact that people also go through things differently. I'll talk about when we're trying for kids. You think that as a woman, it's happening in you, it is your own situation, so you don't give grace to the other person who could also be having a hard time. And I think for me, that was the one thing I one day learned, that, just have grace, because it's not all about you. Funny thing, we're the carriers of life. We're the ones who have children, we're the ones who do what. And you imagine that this whole situation, I'm going through it alone. This person is not. Sometimes, from hospital, I'm like, what are you even telling me? Do you even know what I'm going through? Without realizing that, you also have to be empathetic to the other person. I think for me that was the biggest lesson. And of course, working through those hard moments. And as he said, just being there for each other. Just being there for each other.
And in fact, just to finalize on it, you reach a point you've gone through denial, then you've accepted. So you reach a point we accepted that God has said, we'll only have this one child. And ironically, we decided, since we're only having one child, let's go to a healthy living. So we started jogging, exercising with some neighbors of ours.
At that time, you guys are contented.
Yeah, we're
content.
contented.
We just like, okay, if it's not after 10 years, what do you tell yourself to move on?
To move on.
Yeah, you're like, you know what, if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. We'll work hard, we'll still live our dreams, we'll still work hard in our careers, we'll still do what needs to be done. But if
when you want baby, that's okay.
That's
So she did a
right.
detox diet, and we started running around with our neighbors. So all of a sudden, she stopped coming in the morning to run. So I said, looking at her, but stop skiving.
yeah, you're being lazy.
You're being lazy. But God had blessed her. And that's when we got our daughter. Yeah.
When you were going through that season, were you extending yourself the grace? Were you being patient, or this is a lesson you learned after you got the child?
No, not after. See, now you've tried, it's not working. That lesson
So
comes at that
Life
moment.
humbles you. You know, sorry to say, I think sometimes it's stages of beginning, you're in denial, you're fighting, and I think you just come and accept, okay, this is my situation.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think also in life people refuse to accept their situation, where maybe you're in financial problems and you want to live a lifestyle that is not according, you're not having a baby, you're trying to. So I think it's reaching a point you first start, it's a period you fight first, you're in denial, then you reach a point you just say, I've accepted. That's the
I think
situation.
it's a place of peace, and that place of peace in your situation is when God now comes in and the blessings flow. And stop the fighting, the haggling, the words. Just calm down.
But it reaches a point, you just say, okay, God, you when you decide, I'm waiting and I'm ready whenever you are, just move on. Yeah.
But it didn't mean that you stop working. It didn't mean that you stop trying. Remember what I kept saying about the small steps every day? Only that you're working from a point of peace, not a point of conflict, not a point of turmoil. Because at that point, your mind is even clear. You can even, if the toys thing is not working, then maybe school would work. Then maybe, other engagements. Maybe you can give to society in different ways.
Just get busy.
Get that, not even busy, because busy you could be an addict to the turmoil that you're going through. Find a point of peace and giving yourself to society, I don't know, in different ways. Yeah.
So Kevin and Rosemary, the different seasons of your life, career is happening, children have come, and then stuff that is happening in the middle. How has that informed your marriage? How have those different dynamics informed your marriage?
I think what happens, and I mentioned even right from the start of our story, you realize that when you come together, you're two different people, you have children, you grow up. I think this is my favorite one, Mudundo reduced. You change, you realize that you need to do different things. However, for me, what has also been critical is to grow with each other. A challenge comes when you realize, and growing with each other also means compromise on both sides. You realize that this is where we are in life, we need to do different things. And for me, that's the one thing I've really appreciated, that we've both grown in the different phases. And I know 17 is not too much in terms of years. I've probably been at it for longer. You're not the same person you were 17 years ago. He's not. And how then am I shaping my views to accommodate the person that he's growing, rather that he's grown into, and even that he moves into, and as long as it's aligned. It's aligned with your values, it's aligned, you have your core values that you say this is who we are. However, you move in the levels of growth that somebody is in. Kevin, I don't know if you want to add.
Yeah, in fact, the beauty of life is that you mature up as you're growing older. And then, as she's saying, 17 years ago, you'd have asked me to invite a party. People, I brought you 200, 300 people. Nowadays, you tell me to invite a party, even getting 10 to 20 people is hard. I think that's the stages of life. You go maturing up, and also you come and appreciate. And I've said, when you marry for the right reasons, when you meet the right partner, you don't marry for the wealth, you marry her for what you saw. So those seasons also will not determine your view of her. My view of her will never change. Because she'll always be the chemu icon married to and a woman I fell in love with.
Yeah.
But her career, she's somebody else different. If you look at when she started, she was in law school. Now she's a senior lawyer. And for me, it's not, I don't, you know, when she comes to the house, I don't look at that person who is a data protection. No. It's a Chemo I know. And so when I'm ordering for water, sending her for water or for food, I'm not ordering that one. So those seasons don't determine what you always look at it. But always remember, like now we have a teenager in the house. Now, other things now we're saying, okay, now we're learning new experiences. Teenagers teach you patience, kindness, and all those things that come with love. Yes. But it's beautiful. And for me, I don't think, just wait for God's blessing and appreciation of each other is what I've come to learn. Yeah.
Sorry, Chemu, and also Kebu, you said you grew and you morphed into somebody. What are some of the, if I may put it, habits that maybe you had to let go of, that you had in the earlier years that right now they are not in play? How have you morphed over the years, individually, as individuals? Yeah.
As I said, when we met, I used to love drinking. And funny enough, I quit drinking. I quit smoking. Then I found my purpose in church. So half of the time you'll find me in my fun parties with my Catholic men, association men, singing the choir, singing. That's what I found. You found purpose in church. That's some funny thing. So I rarely go out. I do a lot of stuff in the church. I don't drink. I do that. Then I also came in love getting fit. So I love the gym. I have to go to the gym every day, apart from Saturday and Sunday. So those are the things, some of the things I learned. Then other habits, I think, which are now more about myself. I was very confrontational. I think to me it was more of a mau in the home, where whatever she tells me, I have to prove a point. That me, she can't tell me anything.
You're the man of the house.
Yeah. But I learned that sometimes compromise does not make you the weaker sex. It makes you the smarter sex. So I became and say that, okay, and funny enough, let me show you a story.
You discovered you're the smarter sex.
Yeah. Let me give you a story. You know, men, we are of instant gratification. But women sort of are visionary. Yeah? So for me, ukiniambia deal ndio hii, you run for it and think, hey, this is good. But how she wants me, telling me, careful, hey, don't engage to that. Me had to prove a point that me am a know-it-all. But anytime I proved I'm a know-it-all, we ended up losing finances. Yes. So I've come to learn before making a decision, let me just sit down and listen to her opinion. And that affected me a lot. In that discussion, by just learning that it's no longer about a fight. So some habits that I've let go is around being individualistic, where I'm trying to prove a point into more. We sit down and discuss and talk with her.
I didn't know then. I was just who I was. You're this very strict person. I know Kenyans don't like hearing this, but yeah, who went to Alliance, who was a prefect. You know, you're set in your ways. And you hook up with this really amazing person who is set in different ways. I think for me the growth lesson was you can't prefect somebody into change. You can't, the locking, it wasn't fun, but I did it. In high school, when people were late, I was a den-hound captain. When people were late for a meal, we closed the door. So yeah, this guy has, I'm like, no, we can't do this. But you realize that you must also learn to extend grace. That point of thinking that, just reason. I think I got more out of the relationship when I stopped being overly abrasive. To the point of where I just, I think at some point I was even shocked. You're not annoyed anymore. You're not, you just learn that sometimes it's also okay to just be calm, but also to be accommodative. Like, this person is different. Who are they? He has friends. He loves his friends. Maybe sometimes it's okay to just call out that, look, we need to put boundaries. Let's set out reasonable ones. And for me, outgrowing that, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be strict, but I think outgrowing that combativeness was a very important thing earlier on.
So Chemu, you've spoken about changing to accommodating. What spurred that, and what made you come to that realization and that decision at that point?
You see, it doesn't
before
come.
you answer,
Okay.
just 1 minute. Now, two things normally I like advising couples is that the friends you keep matter a lot. Now, normally, there are people who are called mentors. Now, when you look for a group of older couples, they're able to tell you the truth. You've understood me?
Yes.
Now, if the problem we're also having in society is that when you go and meet your friends who are not married, yeah, then you tell them my husband is doing this, their first instinct will tell you, so leave him. But you meet an older couple, they'll tell you the truth. This guy, yeah, you need to do A, B, C, D, fight it on. Yeah. Number two, I always tell couples, if you're not married yet, another thing that comes to us with again is the family you have. So if you're marrying somebody from a certain family, one aspect that enabled us to change was the support we got from the in-laws. And they were able to tell us, you guys, you know, they managed to speak. My late dad was one of the people who would also always come and tell you guys, hey man, guys, this is what. So that shows you that somebody's family background also plays a lot into how your successful marriage will be. Yeah. Number two, you can pick it up from again.
I think for me is it happened gradually. You don't see it happening. Some of it is planned for, some of it is unplanned for. Some are just exhausted of arguing. But however, I think at this point it also, the critical thing is that both of you must have your hearts at a place where you're accepting to be molded. Such that the message you're not telling people that oh just stay there, fight forever, or stay there, be in your bad situation. No. Well, it works when one person calls out something that needs to change and the other person changes to accommodate. It's a game. It's a game.
It's a win-win.
Win-win. You get. It should never be in a position where you feel that you're the one now who's bending over too much, and that's when growth in a relationship happens. You realize that okay, fine, this habit is not working for us. It won't be a day. It won't be 3 days. May not even be 3 months. However, one day somebody realizes, okay, fine, I need to change, and somebody does what they change.
And speaking of earlier on, you talked about being intentional to work on your marriage.
Yeah.
What have you two been very intentional about for your marriage to work?
Spending time together. I think is one thing that we always ensure that we try as much as possible. We do. Anything else?
And of course, being intentional in always asking and always believing that this person is doing it for the best of us. You understand? You realize that somebody is making a decision for the best of our family. Like recently, there's a project we're doing and he's insisting on a second layer of security. Of course, where I'm from, I'm like, it's entirely unnecessary. But I'm thinking, when you put yourself in this other person's shoes, he's doing it in the best interest of the home and the family. So is it something we're going to argue over? If that would give him comfort, that, our house will be more secure, you'll allow it. A long time ago, the old me would have said, Apana, we're not going to spend that amount. Atajua, he will know that we're not going to do it right now and it won't happen.
Then also number two is also enjoying each other's company.
Yes.
I think we try as much as, apart from making sure that we spend together, we also have to make sure that we enjoy. So we do different things, and make sure that we go out together. Don't make it boring. I think the other problem of couples think that the marriage is that
Stay at home.
stay at home.
No,
Yes.
the wife to stay at home.
The
No,
wife,
and to be clear, not that we don't go out. We go out a lot. You'll find us partying. You'll find us
dancing.
dancing, just like you should. However, we still do it. We still don't do those things. We still enjoy. We still
Enjoy company. When you're driving cars, make sure that we are talking. Having a conversation is the most crucial part. So people find it strange that she knows all my passwords. My phone, my Facebook, my WhatsApp, ATM, all of them. And the beauty of it is that there's we intentionally make sure that it's open. There's nothing we're hiding, and we say, if you like, there's a quote you like using about the phone.
It's a communication device. Like, what were they there for in the first place? Just to communicate. And I think for me that keeping that as a background, it's been amazing.
And so we know each other's passwords, so we can, in case there's something she needs, you always get shocked. She will tell me, "Hey, Kim, just check for me this." And so that's how we make sure. So we're intentional about that. So communicating a lot. make sure we enjoy each other's company, making sure that our relationship is open, is nothing hiding, no account. So, and then updating her of everything that I'm doing. And I say that the irony of it in life that you meet many women who not tell you what their husbands are doing in terms of business, in terms of investments, in terms of where I'm going.
Why are you intentional about that?
It's just life. What we always say that, as I said, where I grew up with, my dad was also very intentional about everything. And so he made sure that he updates the family. So I also want to be the same.
I think, God bless you, so your dad and your mom are best friends. And you always said, I don't hide anything from her. And that's a beautiful thing. I think he picked it up from there. And it works.
And that's why I always tell Murugi people.
So they mirrored what you also want to
We do
have in your marriage.
Marrow men programs, and I always tell, when I tell women a secret, when you're getting married to somebody, look at the father. Yeah, a man will always be married to the father.
Just have a question.
No, I'm picking up. Hold on, just keep quiet. That's all. I was just going to finish. So always remember that men go to, will always look at the father. Now, we have people from single mothers. Always remember one thing about the single parents, that there's always a father figure. You always say that, in society, a child is raised as a community. So from a single motherhood, there's that uncle, there's that relative, grandfather who became the father figure. So the boy child will always pick up the straight of who became the father figure. Yeah.
So it's a father figure.
It's a father figure. Yeah. So we always say that in Good Central we have a lot of single mothers, but somebody always takes the place of the father figure. Yeah. If it's not that, it's a pastor somewhere. So always remember, look at who the father figure of the boy is. If he's a top businessman, he'll become top businessman. So if he's not somebody who's into relationships a lot, he's more into this, that's why it goes. Yeah.
17 years later, is there something, an aspect in your marriage that, sorry to put you on the spot, that you still are struggling with, you haven't really cracked an issue, something you're still trying to deal with?
No, marriage is perfect. We are still in a process of learning a lot of each other. And they say, I'll never, the time, 60 years from me, I'll still never understand Rosemary. And then also, remember that she's also, we go through different stages of life until women change body types and all that. So there's a lot. So I've not explored them more, and I'm too late to learn.
17 years later.
So 17 years later, you're still who you are. For me, I'm very good in long-term memory, but sometimes short-term memory. Recently, I had lost our car keys, and I put them.
Second car keys. The first car keys she lost were different car. We had to chonga. Then she lost the other ones again. And now me.
and they're always they're always in a pocket. So it's something I'm working on. Maybe I'll develop alarms for car keys. If there's one out there, please, I'm ready to buy. So that when I ring the alarm, the car key will sound wherever it is. There's still those things that you.
And then marriage is without an expectations. Marriage becomes boring. So sometimes even I say, hey, Kibo, I thought we had gotten over this, but you have to throw a couple somewhere. Another couple. Yeah.
Speaking of expectations, are there expectations that were met or have never been met? What were your expectations when you got married? What were your expectations when you got married? Have they been met? Have they not been met?
No. When I was Katiaing, I gave her a lot of dreams and visions, stories.
We were supposed to have a two-door car just for the two of us. I don't know what.
I've not fulfilled everything. But also, as we were saying, it's still a journey. And so our dreams are not yet complete. There's a lot of visions that we have. And we say we keep on adjusting our visions according to the timing we are in. We thought that we postpone, we just defer them. We say, okay, for now, we can do this, but for the next 10 years, we can still come back to this is our initial plan. So there's still a lot. And the best say, the bigger the dreams, the bigger the vision, the better the marriage and where we are trying to fulfill.
And I love what you said, because basically, summing it up is live in today. You have your plans, you want to be where you need to go, you have the things that you plan for, but live in today. And that's what allows growth. Because, you learn to accommodate each other, you learn to just, empathize, you learn to challenge each other. Those things all go together at the same time. It's a funny Githeri mix, but for it to be good, all those things have to go together. But the secret is live in today. Today, I think our biggest job is raising our kids. the teenager and the toddlers. Like that's a job. As in, whoever is available does homework. You learn that 6 a.m. every day will be up because that's the time they used to waking up. You don't sleep in. As in, live in today. If today that is what God has planned for us, that's where our lives are today. We live in it.
We also say that we don't compare ourselves to anyone else.
Yes.
It's our marriage.
Yeah.
They say that you make your marriage what you want it to be. If you want to make it a happy, sad, it's you. No one else can come and make our marriage happy. It's both of us. So we choose. We've been, as we put it in the beginning, this is for till death do us part. So our sole purpose is to make sure that we make it successful. And we're not going to compare it to somebody else. Hey, Kimu, is that couple does? No, it's me and you. You see what we are supposed to be doing.
Sisi ndio tuko.
Yeah.
And I'll say that. And as guys, I mentioned, we mentioned that we got married young, we got married broke, we got married, just trying to figure out life. The first thing we learned is that, look, this is where we look. This is where and it was so critical. Because later on, all those things maybe you saw, you wanted, they come. Eventually they come. But you must live in today. Trust in each other for today. Trust in each other to make the right decisions.
Remember, there's no exit. This one, there's no exit clause.
Yeah,
so the only exit clause is that you.
But the lawyer in me would say that there's absolutely no exit clause except don't put your life in danger saying that you want something to work. Don't put, I keep going back to the fact that it only works when two of you are willing to accommodate each other. Two are willing to change, two of you are willing to make it work. I think that's...
And some vices are very easy to get over, but when she's saying, when it comes to things like violence, that's when you draw the line.
Yeah.
Those ones you cannot endanger yourself and live in.
Violence, abuse,
And other things, brokenness, pole. You don't have to get rich overnight, but you'll notice you couldn't afford blue band, there's blue band now. Then after blue band, you can afford a jam. Yes, Atela. Pole. You are in a matatu. I remember we had to live near Parklands,
law school.
Yeah, law school, because we could not afford bus fare. And then it was easier for me in case I'm going to Westlands, I could walk to Westlands, I could walk to town.
So I stayed on
Forest Road. It sits in the middle.
Yeah.
So then probably you get an old rackety car. Where unaendelea tu hivyo. Life is about progress and staying about here.
And as we wrap up, 17 years into it, 17 years later, talking about vision, what's the one thing that you would hope for your marriage in totality? 17 years looking into it, what do you hope for?
In future?
Yes.
Celebrate 80th anniversary of marriage. God, amen. Amen.
Just doing right by yourself, doing right by your partner, doing right by your children, the family, the people around you that you need to do right by. I think for me that will be a happy journey. When you've done what you know is the right thing from the right place in your heart, and God comes through. I think 17 years later, I know that everything I wish for I'll achieve. Because God is there for me, and I have my family.
For me, I think also is raising amazing children who will be compassionate to society, who will make an impact in society. That's the vision I always say. I want us when you're old somewhere, seated in a beach, maybe 90 years old, saying we did it, we came to this world, we've conquered it, and we've achieved. Our children are amazing people, amazing, good human beings in society, who care about society, who give an impact in society. And me and myself have made an impact in society. I think that's, for me, that's what I would love to have left. I've left a legacy, we've left a legacy. We've touched people, and I don't have any enemy. And no one will ever say that I did not, I was never, the only prayer item for somebody, I always say, I never want to be somebody's prayer item. God, please remove this guy. I want to be, God, thank you for bringing such a couple to our lives. That's the prayer I want anyone to say about us.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you so much. I've definitely learned one or two things from you, Chemu, and also from you, the Kimwatus. Thank you for coming on the show. I hope people will pick one or two lessons from you. I mean, it's not all rosy, but we can make it work in whatever season that we are in. So thank you sana, nambarikiwa na mfiki hizo 90 years.
Yes,
Nothing
yes,
male.
And
Just-
on the beach, what is
We're
it?
on the beach here.
No, not somewhere in a cold
No,
blanket.
no, no,
on
no,
the-
no, no. And very healthy for that
Yes.
matter. Yeah.
In fact, that's why we are doing a healthy lifestyle. We don't want to be old and you're picketing, yeah.
I mean, you've seen one of those memes where an old couple is going on holiday, but they are
They're
on a
sleep.
cashier.
Yeah.
Now, what is the money for you?
Yeah.
True.
So, thank you so
But
much.
just one parting shot I've done is tell people is that there is no formula in marriage,
Yeah.
and there is no, you can't compare. There's no script. Just live and enjoy your marriage, and let it be. Things come out to play if you play your part. The only part you're supposed to play is beginning to accept your wife, loving her, and making it work. There's no script. Never look at it at this. It's just making sure that play your part.
And intentionally seeing the good in the other person.
Yeah.
Nobody comes in here to be a devil. You come in to make things, you love the person, you want to be them, and the minute you look for that, and the minute you appreciate that, the minute you reward that, the minute you just, just be there for each other. This life is hard, it's painful out there. Let home be that place where,
Yes,
World is cold.
yeah,
It's cutthroat out there. So you can't be cutthroat in your home. It's the only place where you can have peace, enjoy each other, and yeah.
So thanks guys for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. Life is not perfect and your partner is not perfect. And as the Kimwatus have said, live for today and enjoy the season that you are in. Until next time, please like, please share, please tell us what you've learned from this episode. Until next time, have a good one.